Welcome to my Excel for Scientists tutorial series. Today we're going to be talking about how to format charts in Excel to actually prepare them for publication and to make them actually look like we would expect them to look in science. And so if you are not been following along in this series, in the last video, we actually made all of these visualizations that I'm going to be talking about today. So if you haven't checked that video, check that out above now. And as always, if you just want to follow along, you can actually download all of these charts pre-made. If you go to the link in the description below, there's going to be a link that will take you to a website where you can download all of these files. While you're there, you can also use that link to download my Excel cheat sheet for scientists. And so it's going to have all the formulas I'm walking through in this series and everything else that you need to know to be able to do this without always having to refer to these videos. So right now we're going to get started in actually formatting these. So if you pasted this pie chart, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can see it better. So if you pasted this, I would probably know it came from Excel. It's not really all that great right now. And so like one thing like this 31, I can't even see. Let's pull all of these out. Okay. So this is just not that great in its formatting right now. So first thing I'm going to do is change the number of decimal places it's showing on here. There we go. That's much better. So the next thing I want to do is change these callouts. So it's always coming out the same place. So what I'm going to do is click on it. And what you're going to see over here is this format is going to change to whatever I'm clicking on within my thing. So in this case, I'm going to come over here because these are going to be the label options for the chart. And what I want, so right now it's going to show the value that it's coming from. I can also make it show the series name, and that actually doesn't have what I want. The legend key? Nope, that also it doesn't have. Category name. There we go. So now you can actually see the category name and then its thing. So that makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. And what if I don't want, so you can see I can change how it's separating them. So right now it's separating them by a comma. What if I want it like that? There we go. This is starting to look much more like what I would expect. So now we have the label position. So you can see these are in different places depending on where it thinks it best fits with the thing. So I'm going to do outside end. Yep. So outside end, and then it removed all of our lines, which I'm not super against. I'm gonna move these just a little bit. So there we go. So once we move them out, it seems to be adding that line back in. Yep. I'm gonna move that a little bit over. There we go. So now this is starting to look a little bit better for what we would want. Okay. So now we have all of this, we have these. So now what I want to do is actually change these texts. So one, I think the text is way too small. I'm going to bold and I'm going to just make everything in this Arial. The reason I'm doing this is because a lot of places like Arial. You could also make it Times New Roman, any of those things. And so now, because I have these actually coming out from all of these, I'm going to remove this legend because the legend is basically just additional information. It's not super helpful. It would be helpful if I only pulled specific ones. So if I deleted that one, now I definitely need the legend there because I have no idea what that is. So you can also delete specific ones if you only want to call out to depression and anxiety. I would add the legend back in, and if you don't know how to do that, just come in here and click legend. There's my legend again. If I only wanted to call out to depression and anxiety, anytime you click on your first one, it's going to highlight everything. If you want to click on a specific one, just click it again. So if I wanted to delete bipolar, delete that, delete that, delete that. Now it just has the depression and anxiety numbers. I don't want to do that for this portion, so I'm going to remove the legend, do all of that. So now this is starting to look good. I really don't like these colors though. So now we're going to click on these things and we're going to come over here, and this is where we're going to change colors, patterns, stuff like that. We can actually, if we click on an individual one, we can actually assign specific colors. So let's do, and you can see it's changing the border because I'm under border. So I'm going to Control Z that, and I'm going to come up here. So come over here. Now we're under fill. So this is very colors by slice. If I didn't want to do that, this just shows me it all. That's never really pretty. So we definitely want to vary our colors by slice. We're going to have a solid fill. And now what we want to do is we're going to choose a specific color for each one of these. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a pattern fill. So most journals and stuff are changing where they actually want multiple different descriptors other than color to differentiate between things. So I want to go ahead and start doing that here. So I'm going to make this darker, obviously, but start introducing some pattern to it. So I could make this, formatted with lines or colors, or just make it different transparencies or things like that. So I'm gonna, maybe do this and have it be blue with a white background. So I can keep coming around here and just varying this. So I could have anxiety be solid and be, this red over here. I can have bipolar be orange, and I'm gonna give it a different pattern fill. Alcohol use disorder can be green, and let's make it a pattern as well. There we go. Maybe, I think that one is the one that's with depression. Eating disorder. Let's make that gray, and we can give that a separate pattern fill. And because we have so many here, we're getting into patterns that aren't the best type of patterns to potentially be using. So we can make this one lined, and then let's make this one purple. So now this is a little bit better. Obviously these patterns don't look all that beautiful. You could always just remove all the patterns and just bring them all back to a solid fill. It will keep its color. But if you do need to have a pattern, then that would be a way to do it. So now, these colors are a little bit better for what we would expect within a thing. And this overall actually looks pretty good for what we would expect in our, for a publication. Another thing that would be really good to do though is to add a border so it more clearly defines where these things are. So right now it's automatic. We want to make it a solid line, and it's automatically choosing blue. Don't ever choose blue. Always have black borders whenever you're doing it. And then I'm going to make it really faint. So now if we look, we can see those borders, and I'm actually going to make it even fainter than that. So I'm going to bring it down to like 0.25. So now we can see there's just a little bit of border between these. And so overall, this looks a lot better. I might still, one thing you could do is come in and actually change these to make them and I just undid all of that, but come in and make these a little bit more like variations of color. which might make it look a little bit better to my eyes because my eyes are kind of like, all the variety of colors just looks very strange to me. But you can always come in and like kind of just make them color varied, which like these are now kind of close to each other and stuff like that. The other thing, oh wait, before I do that, I do want to show you how to save these. So what we want to save these is as an image. So we're going to come down to here as save as picture, and then we can just drop it into anywhere, and you can label it the name you'd want to give it, and you would hit, obviously I already have that. So now you can see here's our actual image here of our chart. So now a bar chart has a few different characteristics on it that I want to be able to show you. So the first thing we're going to do is, one, definitely increase that. I'm going to bold it, and again, I'm going to make all of this Arial. Increase our numbers, because this is the thing that probably bothers me most, is when I can't actually read what you're trying to have me read. Arial, come down here, bump up that, make that Arial as well. Okay, so, and I usually bold all of my axes information. That seems a little comically big now. So there we go, that's a little bit better. And I'm also going to move this away from the axis a little bit better. I think it's a little too close. Come down here, again, we're going to make all of this Arial, come up and bold. Maybe up another. There we go. So now this is starting to get better. We're also going to move this onto the graph. If you look at most legends, they're actually on the graph and not off of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove these lines. There we go. So this is already starting to look a lot better. So now what I want to do is I want to come over here, and on this line, or on this axis, I want to have its line. So I want a solid line. I want to make sure that that line is black, and I'm going to put it up to 1 point. So now you can see I have a solid line here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing down here. Come over here. I'm going to add a solid line, make sure it's black, and put it up to 1 point. So now I have this. If you want it to be a box and not just it on the two axes where you have data, you can click on this internal plot area, and it's going to bring this up, and where it says border, you can do solid line, make sure it matches both of those. So now I actually have the box around it and not just that. You can also see that this is a gray. So I'm going to come up here and make that black. There we go. And I think this is also a gray. So I'm going to come up here and make that black as well. Here we go. So now we're starting to look a little bit better. It's doing it by ones. I don't know if we really need it by ones, so let's do it by twos. And so how we're going to do that, we click on the axis, it brings this up. These are the bounds I talked about in the previous video, but if I wanted to, make it from 5 to that, I can do that. And now I'm only seeing anxiety, so I can reset it. And so now the units is going to be those differences. So now what I want is to make them 2.0. So now I've gotten rid of it. So that's starting to look a lot more. What I also would like is to have probably some tick marks. So I want them outside coming off. There we go. That makes it look a little bit better, and I might even add them on this axis as well. So go under tick marks. And then we're going to have them outside. And so those are going in between, and I don't want. So we can see our minor tick marks are the ones that are actually coming out the center. Our major are the ones that are coming in between. And so we don't want the major, we only want the minor. There we go. So now we have this. This is a little bit better. I might actually increase that legend a little more. bring it a little bit more in. Okay. So now 2 more things are still really bothering me about this. And these is all related to the bars. So I can always move this in or out and change things around if I want to change the dimensions of it, just to let you know. So if you need to have a graph that meets a certain dimensions, you can do that to make it a little bit better. But now what I'm wanting is for these to be much more publication quality. So I do not like these colors, so I'm going to do blue. Let's do red and let's do green. So if you know anything about color blindness, again, this is probably not going to be good for that. So we also want to change the pattern here. So I'm going to click on this again, come to pattern filled, and I'm going to actually make all of these either solid or lined. So I'm going to come over here, come to pattern filled. I'm going to make these, let's make sure they're all going the same direction. That's a little bit thicker. Let's make them, there we go, a little bit deeper. And then we have solid. So now this is starting to look quite a bit better. This color is not really easily differentiable right now. So let's like make it a little bit more bluey. That's too light. So let's make that, there we go. That makes it a little bit more blue. So now, and besides the fact that this looks like peppermint and that looks like Christmas, you can pick, you know, slightly different colors, or maybe make this one red instead and then make the other one blue might also be a good way to do it so that the reds aren't so close. You can also just do this with varying degrees of gray. So let's show that real quick. So I'm gonna have gray. Really, let's do the darker gray on that one. And then this can be black. So you can definitely change it up, whatever you're feeling. But then what I would definitely do is add a border to these guys. This just looks weird, just being honest. So add a solid line border, make sure it's a black border, and 0.75 to 1 is usually a good width. So come down here, do a solid line border, make sure it's black, and over here, solid line border. Okay, so now I'm moving that. This again, I don't think this, is this actually black? There we go. So now this, you probably could not tell me that this came from Excel if you just looked at it. It doesn't look specifically like it's an Excel type of thing. This could easily be a publishable. Maybe make that guy a little bit bigger. These guys just a little bit bigger. But yeah, I mean, this looks like something that I would see in a publication. And I can easily save this. Always click on the outside when you're trying to save it. I could easily save this as a picture, and I'm just going to do bar chart, save. So now here, if I come into this, and the important thing is if I scroll really far into this, this is not really all that pixelated, right? It actually still looks pretty good if I scroll into it, right? Like it's pretty high quality. Increasing the size of your text is really helpful to make it a better quality. If I scroll all the way down to 500, now you're starting to see that pixelation come in. But for a publication quality, this is generally pretty good to actually have a publication quality. And I believe that you can change the output of your pictures. And I might have a video coming on my channel soon showing you how to do that. But this is generally a good publication quality bar. So we did a pie chart, we did a bar chart. So now let's do a scatter plot. And this, if you put this in anything, everyone is going to know that this came from Excel. This is very obviously Excel formatting. So again, we're going to do the exact same things we've been doing, and I'm just going to go through this real quick, changing my fonts, getting them higher, changing them to be this, make sure that they're actually black. So again, just kind of going through this quickly, guys. And this one, increasing it, make sure you match your sizes, guys. So you pick a size for your titles, pick a size for your axes. So that's 11. Make sure we match the font. Okay, so that's all good. So now we're also going to do, we're going to have this stay. So we're going to change that all to make sure they all match. There we go. Make it black. There we go. All right. So now what I want to be able to do is get rid of all of these grid lines. Again, this is a very Excel thing with the grid lines. This is starting to look more like you would publish it. So let's format these axes. So let's add a border. So we're going to add a line, make it a solid line, bump it up to 1, make sure it's actually black. Cool. So the next thing I want to do is there's a lot of points around here, and there really doesn't need to be that many. So what we're going to do is come over here. We're going to go under Axis Options, and I don't care that this doesn't cross at 0 because it's not like we're trying to show differences here as much as we're trying to show the relation. So instead, this is 0.05. That's just too many ticks. I would make that 0.5. So now we have 6, 6.5 is 7. So this is going to drop down to 6. So maybe I'll make it 0.25. There we go. That makes it a little bit better, but still this drops down a lot. So I'm going to put this at 6.5. Nope, not 65, guys. Messed up. 6.5. There we go. So that makes it a little bit better. Then what I'm also going to do is I want to see these tick marks. I think it just looks so weird with them not being there. It just bothers me. So there we go. Now we can see that. That looks good. We're going to come over here, and since we're already here, we're going to do really similar things. So let's do maybe 0.25. No, I don't like that. Maybe 0.1. So you can always just come in here and play around with this. That's a little bit better. I do want this to probably be 4.8. And 4.65 maybe? Nope, don't like that. Okay, so let's do 4.64. There we go. So now it's really nicely spaced out in this space, and we have it crossing at every 0.1, or it has a tick mark at every 0.1. Let's break this back down to, there we go. So now we got a couple more in there. And this, he doesn't allow you to set your units at when you want it to cross, which is a little annoying. But yeah. So then let's also add in tick marks. So it just makes it a little bit clearer. And we're going to change that to a line. So that's the other thing we still need to do. So we're going to add a solid line here. We want to make sure that line is black and bump it up a point. There we go. So cool. We have, this looks pretty good. Let's finish out just because I like it to have a full border. We're going to do that, bump it up, make sure it's black. Cool. So now let's make you a couple points bigger. There you go. Okay. So now this is already starting to not look like an Excel, but the center still very much looks like an Excel. So let's format this trend line. So again, this is the actual informations of what's being shown. Instead, I want to come in here to the line. We're going to make it a solid line. Please make your line solid, guys. The dash type, we're going to move it up to a solid line, and we're going to make it black. There we go. That's starting to look better. And so I don't really like its positioning right now. So if I bring it backboard one period, you can see now it goes all the way through. That looks a little bit more consistent since the top is meeting the axis. I really want the bottom meeting the axis as well. Now what I'm going to do, and I keep moving that, so I'm going to bring this right along that line so it makes it a little bit clearer. And the last thing I want to do is mess with these markers because just that blue circle is just very, very Excel. So we're going to go to marker. We're going to go to solid fill. We're going to make that fill black if you're just doing this. And then up under marker options, we're going to do built-in. So I'm fine with it staying circle for now. I don't know, is that the circle? But what I do want is it to be much bigger. So there we go. And then if you see that slight blue tint on them, that's because there is a border on them. So it's saying that there is not, but I know there is. Where are you? Is it really not? I swear it looks like there is. So if I go to, oh no, that's, okay. Sorry, go under marker and you see how this is automatic. So put no line. There we go. And so that now, this no longer looks like an Excel graph. Like this looks fine for publication. You also want to, you can come in here and you can make it a no fill. And then what we're going to do is make it a solid line and make it bigger. So if you want it more like the donut shaped kind of thing, this is how you can do that and make it more open circles compared to the dark filled in. So those are a couple options for how to make it. You can also, if you have multiple stacked on each other, you can easily make them, different colors so you can see the different series that you're trying to do. So I'm just going to do solid fill and no border, bring it back to that. So that's how to do your scatter plot. So now we're going to do the line plot. So this again is very, very, very Excel. Okay, so we're gonna again come in here, doing the same things again, just increasing it. So I'm just gonna do 16, Arial, bold, black, 11, Arial, bold, black, 11, Arial, bold, black, 16, Arial, bold, and black. Ah, did the wrong one, guys. Black. There we go. Okay. Again, I want to get rid of these lines, and I'm going to format my axes. So I'm going to add a solid line to all of my axes. So now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, again, add that solid line, bump it up to 1 point, and I'm probably going to change this to 2 at least. There we go. So that makes that line cleaner, and add in the tick marks to the outside. There we go. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm actually going to change this alignment. And so I'm going to set the minimum to 4. And this would be kind of an insert, or if you're just trying to show the trends. This I'm going to pull up into my thing, make bigger. Again, do all the same things I've been doing. So make sure that it's actually black and within the chart area. And I'm going to add a border to this whole chart. So the same things we've been doing. Make sure it's black, go up. Okay. Then I want to change these. So one thing is you can choose to add a marker or not add a marker. I think I want a marker here. I think it's kind of bothering me that there's no marker. And we can make the markers kind of small so that it's just showing it there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change this color because I don't like. So we're going to make that black. And the marker color and the line color are two different colors. So, and you can see that this marker looks like it has a border on it. So that's the line, the marker, the border, we're going to do no line. So now you can just see kind of, and we can make those marker colors a little bit bigger. So go into marker options and bump it up. And then come in here, again, change these colors. So we can have this either be a colored or be like a lighter gray. And then let's add its markers. We can make it a different type of marker too, so that it more clarifies the line. We're going to make it that different color gray. I think that's too light. What color did I use? 3 down, third over. Okay. So marker, come in here, 3 down, third over. There we go. And no line. So that looks a lot more consistent. You can see in the legend, it's showing both of those. We can always come in and delete off the marker again. No harm, no foul. If we just want that. I just think the marker kind of makes the points a little clearer. But it's up to you and what point you're trying to get across. So we have that. The other thing we can do is if we are going to delete off the points, is change the dash type of one of the lines. Generally, if I have two, I want one to be a long dash and one to be a shorter dash, just so that it's easier for people who can't quite see the colors to tell which is which. So this is pretty clear. This looks really long and wide. So there's that, kind of center that a little bit more. And here we go. I mean, this is pretty good. We could make this a different color. So we could always come in here and add in like a dark red or something like that. We just want to make sure that our markers are always matching our color. But overall, this no longer at least looks like an Excel. So pull that year off from that axis a little bit more, maybe even pull the prevalence off from the axis, just a tad. And there you go. So that actually looks pretty good overall as a graph. And then again, you would just go and save it and then you would have it. So the final thing that I want to do, because I realized that this is already a really long video, so I want to show you how to edit these error bars. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, so I'm going to make this really big so you can see the error bars. So if you have error bars on your plot, you can come over here and you can change a lot of things about these. So you can increase their thickness so that we can actually see it. Please make your error bars black unless there's some reason why they need to be a different color. Generally, always they should be solid. Make them have caps on it. Generally, those caps should be these like flatter, if you can see here. So now you can actually see them. They almost are like comically like the thick. So let's back that down just a little. And so there we go. Now we're starting to get them looking a little bit better. So that's how I would edit my error bars to make them look a little bit more professional than the original error bars that they give you. And so overall, that's how to make these look a lot more like what you would see. It's a lot of just messing with fonts, messing with colors, giving borders, removing certain things, and you can actually create good looking charts in Excel. This is not to say that it's easier to do these things in Excel than it is to do them in something like R or SigmaPlot or other things. It's not what I'm suggesting at all. I'm just, if you really want to do them in Excel, here's a way to actually make them look publication quality. I really hope this video is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. We're actually going to start getting into the statistics of this series. We have a couple more on statistics that we're going to complete in this series, and I look forward to seeing you in those.